welcome to this episode of ThinkTank Thursday. I am Candi Kelley and excited to be your host for this week. So thank you guys for taking the time to join us. Before we jump in, I've got to give a big shout out to our 2022 ThinkTank partners. You see them on the side there. We have Party Center Software, Betson, Embed, Simnox, and Redemption Plus. Exciting thing about Redemption Plus is our guest comes from there this week. On Thursdays, we take a little bit of time away from all the doing, and we know that everyone's super busy right now. We're going into spring break season. Everything's going on. We've got to take some time and think about our business so that we can grow ourselves and our plans and all of that. And so today we brought on a guest from Redemption Plus and super excited. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell them what you do at Redemption Plus?
Hello, I'm Aimee Dolehanty, and I'm the lead creative designer at Redemption Plus. And what that means is I have the opportunity to get to work with our customers each and every day in creating an environment in where their redemption prizes can really shine and really be the focus of an arcade, of a game room, so that it actually pushes people to play more. So I get to actually design the fixtures, the look, the feel, and the life of a redemption room.
That is so interesting. And that's what the focus of our conversation is going to be today. So no more just setting up a countertop and saying you got a redemption area, right? It's a lot more goes into it than that.
Yes, there's a lot more than just slapping up some slat wall on the wall and throwing up toys. There's a lot more formulas and a lot more psychological nature that goes into it to make sure that you get as much wallet share as you can from those customers.
Awesome. So let's jump in, Aimee. First thing, I think we help people with new center openings all the time. And I think the first thing that I get asked a lot is, how much square footage do I need to dedicate to a redemption? Do I need a store or just a counter?
So there's a lot that goes into making that decision. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that we actually look at that as far in advance as we can. So when I had mentioned throwing up slat wall, we want to make sure that the redemption is not the last thought, because redemption is a huge player, no pun intended, in the game room and in the facility, huge profit margin in that game room. So we want to make sure that your customers are able to psychologically be pulled in by those prizes. So the sizes of the game rooms do depend on how many, first of all, how many games you have. So we do have formulas from where we figure, okay, you have 0 to 25 games, 26 to 50 games, and on and on. And also it figures in with your customer demographic a little bit too. So we want to know what kind of player types are going to be your main focus. So we want to make sure that we accommodate your players well enough so that you can focus on selling to those customers and servicing those customers instead of having to fill your room nonstop because it keeps getting empty. Or we don't want to over accommodate and have those prizes sitting on your wall because you have so many prizes for a room that maybe only accommodates 25 to 30 games. We don't want you to staple up cash on that slat wall and basically it sits there, because that's what would happen. Your prizes collect dust, and then to your customers, it looks like those prizes are unattainable. So we want to make sure that they see the movement of those prizes, but not overwork your employees because you only have maybe 2 4-foot sections, but you have 50 games. So we want to make sure that you have the space. Square footage is really a different player in the game now. Again, no pun intended. It just all comes out of my mouth.
It's so natural for you as you
right? Games and prizes and all that. So square footage is kind of an evil monster. It can be, because when you think of square footage, you think of in terms of the floor, how much
the ground.
Yeah, how much floor space do I need? It's not really floor space when it comes to a room that we're putting things on the walls. So you could have a large room of 800 square foot, but if we have 3 doors and one wall that's completely windows and maybe 2 electrical panels, we might not have enough space on those walls for prizes. So then we have to build into the floor. We have to create fixtures on the floor that helps merchandise those products. Vice versa, you may have a 300 square foot space and clean, crisp walls, areas for storefront, and you are ready to go because we can pack that room full of vertical slat wall, and then we can utilize the floor for your bin fixtures. So it's really about linear square footage when it comes to redemption rooms, and making sure that the obstacles that we need to work around are very out in front. So we know right off that we need to work around those obstacles, and making sure that we get those formulas built in so that we have enough product and not too much product for your customers to win from.
Got it. A little side note there. Aimee just made reference to what type of players would be coming into your facility. And last year, we interviewed Josh Atkins from Redemption Plus as well, who talked all about that, all about the customer archetype. So you can find that on our Facebook and our YouTube channel if you want more information there. But there's a brilliant breakdown of the types of players that Redemption Plus has put a lot of research into, that talks about how does that mix of your prizes actually need to be depending on who's coming into your facility and how you're attracting them. So I have a question. We are talking a little bit about brand new. What different types of obstacles and questions do you ask when someone's coming to you and they want to retrofit? Maybe they just bought a counter, a single counter and a single, 4x6 slat wall. And that's all that they had initially. And now they're ready to take that next step and build more and put more into their redemption. What are the questions you ask them? What are the things you look for the retrofits?
That's a great question, because we do a lot of remodels, retrofits, and actually just upgrades to maybe a counter or a room that a customer is just looking to have a little bit more flair to increase the sight lines, the viewing nature for the customers to see. So one of the things we do focus on, there's a lot of the same questions involved when it comes to upgrading and having a new floor to work with. What main questions? How many games do you have? What are your main focus games? That type of thing. So we want to make sure that we don't add in something that's going to remove space for your prizes, or vice versa. If you have way too much space, how can we actually create some creative items that are going to help take up some space so you don't have to spend so much money on things that are going to sit there? One of the main things we focus on in any redemption room is lighting, and a lot of color changing lighting too. And that is one of the biggest things that work in an upgrade. So a lot of customers, like you had mentioned, may have a small counter, may just have a small space of slat wall, and they feel that it's just a counter and slat wall. So we want to dress it up. The most important thing about dressing it up is always catching the eye of the customer. So that's where that color changing lighting comes involved, because your redemption area, whether it's a store or a counter or just a showcase sitting in the middle of the floor, your prize area needs to compete with the game room, because you have all these bells and whistles and lights flashing that are attracting your customers' eyes. Your prizes need to do the same thing so that they can be aware all the time looking at those prizes. I'm playing a game, but I'm looking at the prizes. So we work to ensure that whether it's a new build or an upgrade, that we focus on visibility. And then how can we make the customers always be visually attracted to that area, no matter what they're doing in the game room?
So you just mentioned something about being able to see the game room while you're playing the games, because I'm playing the games a lot of times, depending on the type of player I am, because I want something from the game room. So it makes me put more money. It makes me go after that. So placement, I'm assuming you always look to make the redemption as close to the game room, or almost as if it's in part of the game room, like it's its own part of the game room.
So one of the things that we do with the placement of redemption, as well as some of the outfitting of the redemption, is that we want to make sure it's very accessible. We want to make sure it's very visually accessible. So it's very akin to your registers at a grocery store. So think of your arcade, your game room being all the aisles. And then when you're ready to leave, same thing in service goes for retail versus redemption. One of the only things that does kind of work the same is that service. So we want to make sure that as close to the exit of your game room, so it's really bringing up that merchandise, and it's that last smile they see, it's the last customer service, the last impact you can make on that customer. But we also want to make sure that it's as close to main other attractions. So there's a lot of different finagling that goes in with where that might go in place in your facility. And we always want to make sure that your customers are very well aware of where it's at, and that it's visually open. Like I had mentioned, when you're playing the games, you always want to be able to see wherever your redemption is. So whether that's having storefront, whether that's having open walls, clean walls, that type of thing, because when your player is playing, they walk in, they kind of take a look at the prizes sometimes and say, ooh, that's what I want to take home. So they're playing, maybe they have 1,000 ticket item in mind. That's my prize. And they keep watching as they're playing. I'm going to get that. And we're all about psychology when it comes to our players and design. So when they finally get 1,000 tickets, maybe now they have 1,040 tickets. Now that they can see the prizes and you've made it visually accessible, oh, well, that item's 1,250 tickets. Maybe I'm going to play a little bit more because there's a bigger prize I can get now. So it's constantly always allowing your customer to give more money to those cash registers in the game room floor, which are your games.
Got it. You mentioned the difference between redemption and retail, and I want to camp there for just a minute and think about also just display techniques, and what tips that you give for how you display things so that people can see them.
Sure. There is a huge difference between redemption and retail. And this is a big reason why I work at Redemption Plus. I work with the teams that merchandise, that sell the product, that buy the product, because we want to make sure that we display it properly, that we all work and create those formulas, and we all work and create how the flow works in redemption, which is absolutely different than retail. In retail, you walk into a store and you shop around. You shop around all your fixtures. You're physically in that store. With redemption, once your customer is physically in that store, there's a 50-50 chance that they might just be happy with what's on that shelf and, okay, my visit's done. I had fun. Let me go home. The big thing about redemption is keeping the sight lines open, making sure, again, that you can always see what's going on in redemption too, because you want your players to spend their money, and you do not want them in that store until their wallet's empty. Because once their wallet is empty, now they have all the tickets, all the points they could have gathered, and now they can get the biggest prize, the biggest return on their ticket, basically. But if they haven't spent all their money and they decide, oh, I want to go see what's in the prize room because the walls are completely closed and there's just a door you open and I can't see anything, they're going to walk in that room and there's a chance that their visit's done at that point.
Got it. I'm going to tell you some tips. I used to be in operations that I used to tell my stores, and then you can tell me if they're right or wrong, or how, or you can elaborate if you'd like. Ticket value. One of the things I was very big about is making sure that it was very clear what the ticket value was for said price, that it wasn't hidden in any way. So do you want to talk about that? Like keeping it out there, or how do you do that? Like what should the signs look like, or any of those type of things?
Absolutely. Ticket value is a huge part. Obviously, like when I was talking about when your players are playing on the floor and looking into your redemption room, they need to be able to see those ticket values. First of all, it's your price tag. Mm-hmm. It's how your player decides what they're going to go home with. So making sure that all those pegs have the label holders on them, that the labels are printed, they're updated, anything that needs to be done to make sure those labels are in good condition. Maybe you've got a customer that, that happens, they spilled their soda or something, and a whole bunch of your labels got messy. Replace those right away, because that's how your customer knows that what the price of your prizes are.
Yeah.
Now, building into the fixtures, when we create fixtures, we ensure that not only the prizes are absolutely able to be seen at as many angles as possible, but we also build in those label holders. So say it's not a slat wall with pegs and a label holder. If it's bin units or a shelf fixture, we're going to ensure that it's, when your builder creates it, that those label makers are built in. And some of the keys to making sure that those label holders and those labels stay as nice as possible for as long as possible too is, just the tiny details and thoughts that go into behind. So we used to, on our acrylic fixtures, we'd have a little label maker or a little label holder, and you put your label through the top. Well, Megan, our merchandising manager, came back one day and said, "Oh, the pixie sticks on this one, when some people pull them out, the pixie sticks break and the powder goes down into those label holders."
Oh, yeah.
So what we did was a very quick change now. So now when I design and create those fixtures, I make sure that the labels are accessible from the side. So again, those details from our buyers to merchandisers to sales team being able to have instant access to questions, concerns, ideas are huge when it comes to design, because we make sure that those label holders are accessible. Or maybe Sammy comes back one day and says, "Oh, this label holder in this position isn't really you can't see it as well." So we want to make sure that next time we do it better. So we always make sure that those tickets are able to be seen.
I was very OCD about a few things. They all had to look the same. Like all of what said the ticket value all had to be like, if it was printed on purple, it had to be purple across the board, so that we taught our consumers where to look or what to look for. Never could it be handwritten. So if you needed to replace it, like you needed to replace it and have extras on hand all the time. Like I was pretty big about those two things being there. I also liked it to be a different color. Like, so a white, it has to be easily readable. So if it was a dark purple, well, I couldn't see if it was printed in black really well. And so wanted it to be very, the same color, very cleanly seen, and no written ones anywhere.
Right. And in that manner, sometimes once in a while, we'll do acrylic fixtures in colors if that's the desire of the company. But we always make sure that those label holders are clear, so that there's no chance of any color mixing or any color distortion for those tickets.
Oh, that's really smart. Yes. All right. Something else that I would always tell my operators was, because you guys send out, sometimes prizes can be put in a package that I have no idea what that is as a consumer. Like, I'm going to use the example of beach balls. One time we had beach balls and they come in this folded square. And so if you throw that into just a bin, you couldn't tell that it was a beach ball. So I was very big about making sure that even for some of the small ones, that there was a little bit of a display that showed exactly what that was. So do you have tips for doing that for some things in the way that they come in?
Sure. There's a lot of different ways that we can feature different things like that. So if we have a bin that maybe has those squared beach balls, I would say right now a very popular item that comes in like that, I was thinking, is our DC inflatable. I think they're like 18, 20 inches. So they come into those squares too. But that's where the merchandisers really come into play as well. So and that's where their brain power comes into play. They know that just sticking them in there, our customers, your customers are not going to be able to figure out what those are. So being able to have a display, and sometimes we can actually create a side display that can be used in conjunction with your display that may have those beach balls or may have those DC inflatables, just to be able to use in that time. Now, normally we wouldn't do something or create something that would be permanent, because maybe 6 months out of the year, you have full items in there that are absolutely explainable of what they are. So something that could be utilized when you do get a product like that. Or we could also definitely do something that is some type of label or display feature that says, something to the effect of, look here to see what I am. And then you be able to say, oh, it says, look here above this shelf. And oh, that's what those are. So always making sure that if you have an item like that, that somehow, somewhere it's displayed and it's very recognizable to the customer that this item is this.
Got it. I'm going to throw 2 more tips that I used to use, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I could be wrong. Another one is, yes, redemption is different than retail, but one of the things I always looked at is like the way it was placed on a shelf. So like if it was a plush that had eyes, I wanted the eyes to always kind of like look out, not like be shoved down to where like the head was down and you're looking at their feet. Or if there was something that had a label, that the label was clearly to be seen. Was that a good tip to tell people?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I always hear our merchandisers say is, oh no, they had butts in the air. So whether it's a crane or a bin or whatever item, you don't want the butt in the air. You want the eyes forward. You want, oddly enough, that again, psychological connection with the prize. Even though they're not living eyes, you make a connection when you make eye contact with something, whether it's living or inanimate, there's a connection. And obviously, if there is a box with a display feature, you don't want it turned around. You want that. I mean, the manufacturer who created that product was very clear in saying, this is the display side. And you want your customer, they put all that thought and creativity into making sure what that end user customer needs to see to purchase it. So we need to make sure that we take that and display it properly like that.
Got it. All right, last one for you.
Okay.
I would challenge my operators to about every quarter or at least twice a year to almost take everything or sections of it down and redo it totally.
So that comes into play a lot with our merchandisers when they do refreshes and different things like that. One of the main reasons that you want to do that is so that your customers don't get bored or acclimated or immune to what's on your walls, because they're seeing the same thing over and over. One of the other things on my end of that is the longevity of your fixtures. So when you remove everything, you get a chance to clean it. You get a chance to take a look and make sure that there's no breaks, tears, cracks, safety issues with those fixtures. And also, especially with acrylic, you get a chance to clean it very properly. One of the things that with acrylic that you always want to make sure that you use an acrylic cleaner and not a glass cleaner, because that ammonia can scratch and cloud your acrylic over time. But that's a main feature when it comes to thinking about the design side of it. When you're able to take everything down for a moment, you have a chance to inspect and clean and make sure that whatever small repair might need to be done can be done, so it doesn't become a bigger issue later.
Awesome. Yeah, I would challenge them every so often to bring those down and to just put it back up for that exact reason. I thought it would look bored. We only had slat walls a lot of times in counters. And so like we would just empty the whole slat wall and then go back up with it. Well, all of those tips are really awesome. Are there any last minute tips that you would tell people in the design process of how do you want to do, whether you're retrofitting, remodeling, or brand new?
Well, one of the things would be making sure that your designer, whoever it may be, designer, architects, and your game distributors can work in partnership together. So to ensure that when your game room is set by your distributors, I work with architects and distributors and other designers all the time to make sure that everything that we do flows properly with each other. So one of our, say Betson, which is one of our sponsors, sends me a game layout. So I can make sure that where bins are going or where walls are going aren't going to impede with the games, and vice versa. We work hand in hand a lot of time with those distributors to say, okay, this is the size of the game room, what it needs to be. Where are you thinking are your most important areas on that floor that you need XYZ games? And we'll work together to ensure that the game room and redemption room really work properly together and flow properly. And that I can give as much room to the games and they can give as much efficient room to the redemption as possible. And it goes along with architects and designers too, because with designers, I'll get all of their color and material boards to make sure that the redemption room definitely stands out within the game room, but it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb as well. We want to make sure that it's very noticeable, very recognizable, but we don't want it to look like a completely different place. So there's a lot of partnership that's involved. There's a lot of work that's involved in all of those pieces coming together to make your profit as big as possible.
I think that is probably the best tip you probably could have given, is that none of you work in a vacuum. It is all
right
between architects, whoever your distributor is, whoever your branding person is with your color scheme and all of those finishes and touches, and your redemption. That it all needs to come together. And the quicker you can get all of those components together, all those people or representatives from those different aspects together, the more smooth and the more perfect it will be for your vision of what you're designing.
Right. We're all experts in our own areas. Like I won't design a kitchen or a bathroom ever. and a retail designer may not even want to touch the redemption room because it is a different animal of its own kind. And that's where we all know that we are experts in our own area, but we need to flow together and work properly together to make that design work.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for your time. We do close Think Tank. Every guest has to answer the same question. It's our signature question. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What do you do on a regular basis to grow yourself and or others?
So this actually touches on my nerdicality. I am a huge nerd. I am a big comic fan. Most importantly, a lot of you seeing this may already know I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. I like to say that the fans call me the crazy lady. So when it comes to Wonder Woman, I like to say she's not just a character, she's a way of life, which she truly is. The way she lives her life, the way she works with humanity, man, woman, whoever, the way she is out to ensure that the world is a safe place, a kind place, and a place that grows is very near and dear to my heart. So I may not be preaching the word of Wonder Woman every second of every day. But I I try to ensure that those values are instilled within me in everything I do. And then also I do that in my volunteer work as well. I volunteer with a lot of different organizations. I have in the past quite a bit, whether it's Special Olympics. One of our local charities here is Fox 4 Love Fund for underprivileged children. So many different organizations that involve with whether it's helping others grow, helping others become more than what they think that they can be, and making sure that, you know, the world is a little bit better for what I may have done today. And that's kind of actually why I really enjoy what I do as well, because I sometimes may never see a design I create, but I know somewhere, someone might be smiling, might be having a better moment in today because of something I did. And that's really a passion of mine, is somehow making someone feel better. I have no shame when it comes to making people smile too. So I work to help other people just really have a better moment in life.
That is one of the more interesting answers I've ever gotten. So I love that.
I'm a total nerd.
All right, Aimee, if people want to learn more about you or Redemption Plus, where would you send them to connect with you?
You can go to redemptionplus.com, and I am on our contact page. You can contact me through that. Also, if you want to see our portfolio on our main page, on the bottom right, you can just click on Redemption Designs, and you can see several versions of different redemption rooms that we've done in the past few years. And you can also call me on my office line, 913-563-4375, or email me at adolehanty@redemptionplus.com. It's not really how you say my last name, but it's the easiest way to remember how to type it.
Well, then how do you really say it?
It's Dolehanty.
Dolehanty. Okay.
Yep. But it's easier to say Dolehanty. It's
because that is how it's
that way.
spelled. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for spending this time with us. Thank you to our 2022 Think Tank partners, which includes Redemption Plus too. If any of you out there want to be a guest on Think Tank, come on. You can just have to email me, candy@trainertainment.net, and we'll spend a Thursday talking about what you think is most important to help you or your business grow. And we're hosting our own conference for the Trainer Training Conference. Will be at the end of April. So you can check our website for those details. Thank you, Aimee, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Candy. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hello, my name is Brittany Betty, and I am the Regional Sales Director and Business Development Manager over at Betson Enterprises. Here at Betson, we are so excited to be a part of Trainertainment this year. For those of you who are unaware of Betson and what we do, we are the leading distributor of coin-operated equipment, and we are a family-owned business that has been around for 85 plus years. Please take a moment to watch a quick video on an introduction on the phased approach and turnkey solution we can offer you in your facility. Thank you so much for taking the time for watching. And if you have any questions and would like to reach out to me, I can be reached at my email at bbetty, BBETTI, at Betson, BETSON.com. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or needs you might have in the family entertainment industry, and I would be happy to assist you. Thank you and have a great day.
Are you looking for ways to maximize profits and consolidate systems and processes? Join the Party Center Software and Party Center Pay family. Our suite of solutions makes it easy for you to run your family entertainment center or event business. Our online party booking system makes booking parties and events a breeze. Our point of sale system, digital waivers, and reports will help you simplify steps for your staff and make your guest experience seamless. Our online store allows you to sell products, gift certificates, and other services anytime, even when you're sleeping. But it doesn't end there. All of the solutions mentioned connect with our payment processing platform, Party Center Pay, making it easier than ever to manage your business. Not only can Party Center Pay save you money by cutting out extraneous fees, but Party Center Pay makes it easy to take online deposits or full payments, and we even have a contactless payment option. Paired with our incredible support team and dedicated customer success managers, growing and managing your business has never been easier. Schedule a call with us today to learn more.
My wife and I, this is a partnership with her and I, so we both agreed that, in creating Scary Strokes, that we want to make sure that we have the best available of everything. Embed just seemed like the perfect fit. It was pretty streamlined and had the point of sales and the software for the redemption, and it just seemed, natural to us. So we've been with Embed since the very beginning. And so when Embed, was introducing the mobile wallet, it seemed like a good opportunity for us to jump on, and it's wonderful. I mean, you reload your card from it, you redeem your tickets from it. There's nothing not to like about it. I mean, it's very convenient. It's very clever for sure.
Empowering your employees to manage your redemption area with confidence can be a challenge. The redemption counter is often the last stop your customers make before leaving your facility. That's why we do everything we can to help your staff make that experience one worth returning for. Our service packages allow you to reap the benefits of expertise and customer support, no matter where your business is in its maturity. The Advanced and Pro service bundles are unmatched by any other redemption provider in the industry. They allow you to get the support you need when you need it. Gain confidence in your redemption program, knowing your employees are taking advantage of benefits like exclusive redemption training, regular planogram refreshes, product performance and spending reports, and much more. All accessible from an online portal customized to your business. Learn more at services.redemptionplus.com.